Now this one is very awkward. This is just about new, or as close to new as you're going to get. 2023 is the GBH 8/45D Bosch rotary hammer. This is a big 8 kg one. The boy that owns this is not a happy bunny. There's something wrong with it, he's already told me, or given out to me for. But this is not under warranty anymore. It's outside of the year, and he hasn't registered it for the 3-year warranty, so he's forgot to register it. It's a problem now, outside of the year, and Bosch won't cover it, basically. Nothing I can really do about it. I know I'm a Bosch agent, but I can't put it under warranty if it hasn't been registered online. It's been bought, it has a receipt. Even if it's in the year, you need your receipt for the year. But even when it goes into the other 2-year for the extended warranty, even if you've it registered online, you still need your receipt for it as well to show that it's within the year and everything matches up. You can't do it any other way, so it has to be within the year. And if it's not in the year, you have to have your warranty cert for online. I can't put through any Bosch warranty without it. It has a code now for me. Bosch just won't recognise it if I just put through a 1-year warranty form with it, with a receipt, and it's outside of the year. They know rightly when it's been sold. No other way around it. So he ain't happy that he's going to have to spend money on it. I'm hoping it's a simple fix, because he really does not want to spend any money on this. And these things can be expensive to fix, especially if they bust the gear up in here, which can also destroy the motor. So let's actually see what's wrong with it first. Right, it's not a motor problem actually. What's going on here? A lot of vibrations. And there's an obvious slapping sound coming from up in here inside the hammer section. Right. This mightn't be as bad as I thought. At least I hope it's not anyway. For his sake, I'm sure he hopes it's not too. Just goes to show, if you're buying tools and you can register them for a longer warranty, always register them. Doesn't matter what you think or how long they're going to last or how good a brand it is. Things happen, mistakes happen. You can get manufacturing faults, you get a part failure, you can abuse the tool, use it for stuff you're not meant to be doing it for, and actually burn the thing out. It'll still be covered under a warranty as long as it's not an obvious thing that you've done wrong. If you don't have it registered for the long warranty, you're scuppered basically. Always register it no matter what, especially cordless and brushless machines. Controllers are a big thing to fail. Never really fail unless corded machines, unless they're very, very old, but cordless, brushless machines, all brands, controllers can fail for any reason. It's basically a little computer running the machine. So many components in it, just takes one to fail to shut everything down. So always register it for the longer warranty. You'll thank yourself later if anything goes wrong. These here as well, you really want to have the long warranty with it, because the motors in these, if they go, you take out the gears in the armature and the armature itself, plus then you need a service as well. You could be into 400 or 450 to fix it. That's a worst case scenario, mind you. That's turning all right. Don't need to take this off. Just slacken the screws. Just so I can slacken the handle a little bit. Careful you don't strip these ones out. They can be tight. If you're in any doubt, blast a wee bit of heat on it. All looks good. There's no damage to the gears, no damage to the armature. Everything's turning like it should. The problem is actually up in here in the tool holder section. I would imagine it's actually the hammer that's at fault. Either it's back to front, or they're actually sitting together and the hammer's stuck to the bottom of the piston. Son of a... That is a tight clip. This thing is not, oh that's tight, it's not all that dirty either. I wouldn't say this has done a massive amount of work. It could also be as the rubber damper like this one inside the hammer pipe too. That could be missing. It would need to be missing for it to be that. Leave the pins in if you can. Just to get the C-clip, and you've something to actually pull on, because the pins that hold the actual tool holder on. That out. Actually neither, it's just slack. Grease is still good. There just ain't that much grease on the hammer, so whenever she's in, it's just a slack fit. In other words, there's not much wrong with this. Sometimes you get a manufacturing fault, maybe where somebody leaves this out or puts it in the wrong way around, but this is alright. All this needs is a new o-ring and a little bit of grease. Bosch didn't exactly follow it completely when they built the thing. Could have put a wee bit more grease onto that, to be honest. Try to keep all this on. Now I wonder if we will be this lucky and just need the o-ring for the hammer. 1600210-080. That's the part number you need. But there's not much point in just changing this one for the hammer. You have it opened up already. So I'll change the piston as well. So we'll just change the two of them. They're both the same number. It's only a year old. It hasn't done much work. It does not need a service, so I'm not going to be stripping the whole thing down. It mightn't even need this O-ring, it could just need grease. But like changing the timing belt in the car, if you have the engine out, once you have it dismantled, as well change them when you're at it. Change that. Give that a wee bit of a wipe down just in case. Don't want to get it too dirty. Try to keep this all together. That's one assembly. Keep that clean. And also just change this one. If it's not the quantity of grease in this, it could be the type of grease they use, because it is just a little bit thick. So unless you put in enough, it just doesn't get worked around enough. It just sticks to the side. It's not as heavy as the gear grease I use and the stuff I put on the O-rings. Lighter than that, but it's just not as light as this here 015 Bosch grease that you normally put into the hammers. Keeping this all together. I'll do this as simple as possible. Keep the cost down. Drop that piston back in along with these gears. It's easier to do when it's not covered in grease. Put that in there. That's it. Make sure there's plenty of grease in it this time. Put that in. Put your hammer in. Make sure O-ring is to the piston side. Now, that's a better fit. It's not just slapping around. When that gets too slack, it doesn't get a good proper seal anymore. The piston is going back and forth, and the suction is pulling the hammer back again like it's supposed to do. So when the piston's going back and forth, it should be pushing the hammer back like that there. But if the O-ring's gone on the striker, like this here one, whenever the piston's pushing it forward and it's coming back, so instead of it coming back and meeting an air cushion where it's sealed up and makes an air gap to get pushed forward again, it loses the pressure inside, so it loses the air cushion, and it comes back and actually slaps into the piston itself, which can end up breaking the piston. Or what is probably happening here is the piston's going forward, it's losing the air cushion, the seal's gone, so the piston and hammer eventually start to meet and touch. Once they become touched, then they actually get stuck together. So whenever it's actually running, the piston and hammer are actually moving back and forth together. So when that happens, you get a massive amount of vibrations out of the machine. Plus you get a huge whacking, hammering sort of sound, or rattling sound whenever it's running. That's mainly the telltale sign, is the vibrations of it. You've lost the actual counterweight of the hammer and piston moving back and forth, keeping it balanced. When the two are together, you just get a massive weight inside, moving together, actually shaking the whole machine, which is that's what it actually felt like whenever it was running. So this should hopefully just cure it. 2 O-rings and some new grease. Mind you, it's never normally this easy. What I'll also just do is put a bit of extra stuff on here too. this thing was any older, I would be doing a full service on it. But it's only just out of the year. It hasn't done an awful lot of work, so I don't think it needs a full service. Whole thing back in now. The C-clip in. And always just make sure that C-clip is in fully. See it spread out a little bit more, so it wasn't just clicked in right. If you are doing one of these like this, always remember if these 4 bolts are out, you've actually disconnected your whole motor section. If you're not careful, this will actually just completely lift off. Wouldn't be the end of the world, but it'll be more work to put it back together again. Bit more grease, make sure it doesn't dry up again. That's the Bosch grease I'm using, 015. Oil seal is stuck to this side, but the track is on this side. So make sure you put it on. Otherwise you're going to kink it, or it's not going to go in there properly. Then whenever you start running it, you'll end up with an oil leak. And as well, look to see what mode we're in here. We're in between, tool holders turning, so it's chisel only but free to rotate. So this should be matching. Should be that way. Those boils back on. Make sure everything's tight. And just give your motor a turn. You should access the fan down here. Turn it. You should hear it turning freely. You shouldn't hear anything rubbing. No, this one was not right there. Don't tell me. I don't believe you. There's a broken tooth. Yeah. A broken gear tooth. That's the original problem after all. Had a quick look at the gear and it looked alright. Should have known to look harder. You can look down and see all the gear teeth on top. But normally when they break, they actually start breaking from underneath. I'm annoyed at myself now. I should have checked that more carefully. See just there. It's fine on top, but there's nothing underneath it. So that eccentric gear is actually gone. That's the actual problem. This just became a lot more expensive. If you want it, you could leave it like that. It'll still run for a little while, but you're just going to cost yourself more money further down the road. That all out again. Make sure you keep it clean. Now we have to take out this gear when it's covered in bloody grease. Now I know this man is not going to pay for an armature in this thing. So hopefully it's just the eccentric gear. And hopefully we also have all the pieces of the gears, because if they're all smashed up, we're also going to have to service this thing. But at least if we have the gears and the pieces of them, you can actually get away with just replacing the eccentric gear. That would help to keep the cost down. That doesn't want to come out. So 2 gears broken, or gear teeth. Wash this first. Right, might get out lucky with this one if we can find this other tooth. You can see both of them broke off. We're going to throw the piece now. Can find that other one. This one here is a clean break. The grease can be a problem for the O-rings. To be a godsend if you break the gears in these things, break the teeth, because it's that thick. When it snaps off, it gets thrown to the side and stuck in the grease. If it's lighter grease, it just works its way down. If you keep running it, after you break the gear teeth, eventually the heat of the hammer is going to liquefy the grease and start getting it moving around. Once it starts getting into here, that broken piece is going to get into your teeth, jam up these ones, break more off, and smash the gear teeth on top of the armature. People keep it on running it still, because I've got these things on completely destroyed because of this problem. They'll eventually migrate down onto this gear, and get jammed inside these here teeth. You'll find them micro welded into the gaps between the teeth, and they'll also destroy the teeth on the clutch as well. So you end up doing a wild lot of damage. You destroy the armature, you destroy the eccentric gear, you destroy the clutch. But luckily this one might be salvageable if we can find the other piece. Nothing yet. Doesn't seem to be there. It's not in that lump. It's in here somewhere, and you have to find it. Because if you leave it in there and you change that gear, it's eventually going to work its way back in to something, if not the gears, and chew something up. Aha. Got something. There we go. Let it drop back in. Two perfectly snapped off gear teeth. Can't even see a gap in them. Can't even see where they are. So they are all intact. So there's no bits of metal left inside. Thank God for that, because that's 20 euros worth of grease I already put into this thing. If you don't find them, you have to wash it all out to make sure they're gone. Or if they're smashed up, you have to wash them out. Because they're still intact, they didn't get onto the armature. See, that's still nice and smooth. Teeth are fine in the armature. It's a good job he stopped it when he did. He realised there was a problem. He probably got snagged on the two broken teeth or something, or heard a bad sound. Or maybe it was the actual hammer that he's complaining about. There was the slapping noise of the hammer itself because the O-rings are gone. Maybe that's what he actually did leave it in for. Didn't realise that was broken at all. But if you kept running it like that, that would eventually chew up the teeth on the armature, which would have cost another 200 euro, and the clutch would have been another 100. This here is another 100 again. The service kit's another 90. The price of repairing it just skyrockets. But if you catch it early, you just need to replace the eccentric gear. Keeps the cost down quite a bit. One eccentric gear. That's the number if you're ever looking for one. 1617000 A35. Already comes greased. Needle bearing inside of here already has the grease on it. Just put more extra grease on the gears and pop it on. A lot cheaper than replacing the armature as well. Just get a little bit down on that needle bearing. And a little onto the gears. There's 2 holes in this plate here. Make sure you line them up to the screw holes underneath. And make sure you put a bit of Loctite on the screws as well before you put them on. If they're not going on straight, take it out again and realign the holes. Don't keep screwing if you think they're going on crooked. Now, that should keep them running and running smoother. But I hit again now, putting on the piston. Slide that on. Line everything up. Drop that back on. It's a very messy job and there's still grease in it. Still have grease in this. Shouldn't need any more. Give it a twist, push it on. You have to get into the piston as well. Move this selector now so you can actually rotate it. And squeeze that all in. Might have to just give it a tap. Drop in your pins to hold the tool holder. You have an O-ring just sitting here. It's inside this metal ring. Just acts a little bit of a damper so there's no vibrations or noise out of it. Smaller C-clip. Holds that on. I'll just get the top on. As last time, just make sure that selector goes onto that selector ring. Now the armature turns and it's not catching on anything. Perfect. And we've got a Loctite on these two as well, same as the last. Make sure you're going onto the right thread to start. Make sure I have everything. That should be it. Also just washed down that cover so it at least looks like I've done something. Everything I've done is on the inside and I haven't washed the thing out. Sometimes it can just look like nothing's been done at all. And there's just tool holder grease. It's only for the tool holder. It's no good for anything else. Don't get your fingers nipped on it. You just have to give it a bang because you have to compress this rubber a little bit to get it to seat on. But once it's on, it ain't coming out. Now, that should be able to run a whole lot better. Right, make sure she runs now. More importantly, no more vibrations. She's actually running properly again now, so those two O-rings have done the trick for that. She's running, and she's rotating, and there's nothing chewing up inside. Gotta make sure she hammers. That's her, up and running like she should. But to be honest, it shouldn't have broken that there so soon. She's too fresh a machine to be breaking the eccentric gear like that. Shouldn't be shearing off bits there. That there is a common problem with these here machines. Bosch would really need to address it, because that there can be a very expensive fix if these here are outside of warranty, which this boy is now worried about because he wanted to get it under the long warranty, but he didn't register it in time. So don't know what he's going to do in the future. Hopefully that problem has been addressed and the new one won't fail as easily. That's her. Anyway folks, thanks for watching. As always, give us a wee like and a follow down below if you're enjoying the videos. Give us a wee comment if you have any questions. Cheers, thanks for watching.